Is the thing on? Hello? Hello? Whatever. What is up, guys? It's Alex Johnson here, the founder and lead analyst at yardsperfantasy.com. Welcome to the 117th episode of the Feed Me Fantasy podcast. Let's see. So let me tell you how my weekend went. I made a video on TikTok about Mecole Hardman's fantasy outlook. I posted it on Twitter. Mecole Hardman found it, and he quote tweeted it. He said, "Dang, man, this dude knows what he's talking about." But clearly he was using sarcasm. It got nearly 300,000 views. Tyreek Hill replied. Darrell Williams replied. Bleacher Report picks it up. Some dude doing a Chiefs podcast makes a response video where he essentially agrees with me, and he gives me the nickname Green Screen Man. I'll take it. I've been called worse, right? So let me tell you, that was crazy. It was fun. I'll also double down and stand behind everything I said in the video. Mecole Hardman is never going to break out. I mean, do you think this guy would draft himself an underdog? Probably not, right? Even he wouldn't do that. Maybe in a $3 draft, but definitely not in Best Ball Mania with $10 million on the line, right? No way. But hey, Mecole, if you're looking to get into underdog fantasy, maybe draft yourself or MBS or Juju, who are both going to outscore you this year, make sure you use promo code YARDSPER to get a 100% deposit match up to $100. You're welcome, buddy. But we're not talking about Mecole Hardman today. I've had enough of that. All right. We're talking Scott Fish Bowl. SFB 12, Scott Fish Bowl is in full throttle. A lot of you have already finished your drafts, right? You finished your drafts, you're done, and now it's over. It's kind of sad. My draft is still going. We're still going. I think we're in the 17th, 18th round right now. It's been great. I've had a lot of fun. I love Scott Fish Bowl. I think this is year 4 for me. I love doing the Scott Fish Bowl draft, and I love the pace that my division is at right now. Where I'm in the Worcester division, Worcester, Massachusetts. We got some really, really, really sharp drafters between the analysts and the fans that are in there. It's been a lot of fun. I love the pace that we're at because it's not super slow. I'm making a few picks a day, but I know I'm going to be sad when it's over. I know I'm going to be sad when the draft's over. So let's just make it last, right? Let's make it last. Let's enjoy it. So I drafted from the 11th pick. And my plan going in was I wanted to double tap quarterback. It's super flex. There's some weird scoring stuff going on there. Quarterback, I wanted to get in, get it over with, and be done. So at the 111, I drafted Tom Brady. He led in pass attempts, completions last year, which is very important in Scott Fish Bowl scoring. He led in passing yards, passing touchdowns. I believe he was the number 1 scorer in Scott Fish Bowl, if I remember correctly, last year. 719 pass attempts, over 5,000 yards, over 40 touchdowns, which was number 1 among all quarterbacks. He also attempted the highest number of deep passes, the most passes inside the red zone. He finished 2021 as the, standard scoring QB3, but I believe he was the QB1 in Scott Fish Bowl last year. His retirement only lasted a month. He's back, and he's on my Scott Fish Bowl team. So pumped to have Tom Brady on there. I mean, you want guys in great offenses, and especially in a tournament, to have those peak spike weeks. That's what we want. At the 202, I was really tempted. It was very tempted to take Travis Kelce, considering the scoring system is so favorable for tight ends. But like I said, I wanted to double tap the quarterback position and get it over with. That was my strategy coming in. And if I took Kelce, I would have been targeting Kirk Cousins as my QB2 in the third round, which I would have been happy with. But I just didn't feel comfortable that he'd be there. And I know I would have been pissed at myself for straying away from my strategy this early, essentially fucking up my whole draft plan just from the start. And by the way, Cousins did not make it back to my pick in the third. So I was thrilled that I stuck with my plan and went with Aaron Rodgers. This guy, he lost Davante Adams, the receiver who ranks number 1 in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns going back to 2018. And the talent differential from Adams down to what he's got now, Allen Lazard, Christian Watson, Sammy Watkins, that whole bunch, Randall Cobb, Amari Rodgers, Romeo Doubs. It's bad, but it's Aaron Rodgers. Come on, it's Aaron Rodgers. Back-to-back NFL MVP. Hey, speaking of MVP, if you think he's going to win it for a third straight year, go make that bet on BetUS right now and use promo code YARDSPER to get a 125% deposit bonus. But anyway, just like Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers scored very, very well in this format last year. So that's one of the big reasons why I was really happy to take him. He wasn't my number 1 target to get there at the 202. A couple of the guys that I was hoping for went off the board before I got to that pick, but I'm really happy with the Brady Rodgers start. And then I went at the 302. It is third round reversal, so I got 302, Dalvin Cook. I got Dalvin Cook in the third round, which I was really happy about. This is a top 5 running back in the third round, even in a super flex draft. Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes, please. That offense is going to be so freaking good this year. The Vikings are going to take that offense to a whole nother level. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for a lot of the Vikings players. I got a lot of those guys I'm targeting in drafts this year. And Dalvin Cook, I don't think I have a lot of Dalvin Cook this year. Just this way my draft orders have fallen so far. I just haven't been in that spot to draft him. So at the 302 in Scott Fishbowl, yes. Got those bonuses for first downs and everything, which really favors running backs. And with that thinking, I went at the 411 and took Leonard Fournette, the bell cow, one of the league's best offenses. Why wouldn't I? Receiving game, goal line work. Of course, this was before some of those reports came out that he's fucking 260 pounds. I don't know how true that is. We'll see what happens at training camp. But as of right now, I'm really happy with that Leonard Fournette pick. So first 4 picks, Tom Brady at the 111, Aaron Rodgers at the 202, Dalvin Cook at the 302, Leonard Fournette at the 411. I'm feeling good. But now I'm turning my attention to the wide receiver position. My plan here is to just receiver for these middle rounds here. So, and I started that with one of my favorite guys. You already know, I've already talked about him on multiple episodes. It's Michael Pittman. This guy ranked number 4 in playerprofiler.com's route win rate metric at 51.3%. Meaning only 3 receivers in the NFL beat their coverage at a higher rate. Pittman rarely comes off the field. He played 90% of the snaps, and only Cooper Kupp and Jamar Chase had a higher rate of routes run per pass play. And over the last 6 weeks last year, Pittman commanded a significant 31% target share. So if he continues anything close to that pace, wheels up, baby. Wheels up. T.Y. Hilton's gone. There's absolutely no threats to Pittman's target share on that roster right now. And now he gets a quarterback upgrade to Matt Ryan. Ryan's had a history of peppering his wide receiver ones with a ton of targets and propelling them to top 12 wide receiver seasons. He's done it with Roddy White. He's done it with Julio Jones. He's done it with Calvin Ridley. Pittman's going to be the next man on that list. Book it. And he's going to be a red zone monster. He uses that 6'4", 223-pound frame to box out defenders and win in contested situations. He was top 5 in contested catch rate last year, 40% success. Yes. He's going to get the touchdowns, the volume, everything from Michael Pittman this year. He's probably my number 1 breakout star this year. I'm so excited. I'm also so excited for my 6'11 pick, Courtland Sutton, another guy I've talked a lot about this offseason. This is a very on-brand draft. You think it's starting like this now, it continues for a long-ass time. Courtland Sutton is your prototypical alpha wide receiver. And like I've talked about before, with a combination of Drew Lock, Joe Flacco, and Brandon Allen in 2019, Sutton still managed over 1,100 yards and 6 touchdowns on 72 receptions. And then last year, with that quarterback debacle, he still led the team in targets and receiving yards. The peripheral numbers were encouraging too. He finished the season 8th in air yards, 5th in unrealized air yards, 2nd in average target distance, and 6th in deep targets. And now he gets Russell Wilson at quarterback. And yet somehow he's still being drafted at about the same ADP as teammate Jerry Jeudy, despite the fact that Sutton has proven it and Jeudy is more of a projection. And let's not pretend it hasn't been a concerning offseason for Jeudy with an arrest and a minicamp injury. It's so Courtland Sutton season. It's also Allen Robinson season. I'm telling you, this draft is on brand as much as I've ever had a draft ever. Allen Robinson's quarterbacks, going back to college, Matt McGloin, Christian Hackenberg, Blake Bortles, Mitchell Trubisky, Nick Foles, Andy Dalton, Justin Fields as a rookie. I mean, come on. This poor dude, this poor guy, man. And yet somehow he has still managed to be one of the more productive wide receivers since entering the NFL. He has multiple top 12 fantasy seasons, including back-to-back years of the Bears in 2019 and 2020. And in both of those seasons, he topped 150 targets, 1,100 receiving yards. And let's not forget about his incredible 2015 season when he caught 80 balls for 1,400 yards and 14 touchdowns with Blake freaking Bortles at quarterback. Yeah, it was injuries, quarterback, contract situation, just kind of all came together just to create some sort of just mess, disaster of 2021 for Allen Robinson. But he's teaming up with Matthew Stafford in 2022. He's got Sean McVay. He's going to run alongside Cooper Kupp. In the Rams offense, this guy is in line for a career renaissance. I am so excited for Allen Robinson, getting him at the 702. Let's go. So at the 811, I wanted this guy. At the second I hit the button on Tom Brady at the 111, my mind was 7th, 8th, 9th round. Russell Gage is going to be my target. So I picked him at the 811. I wanted to stack him with Tom Brady. This is the wide receiver 2 in the Buccaneers offense until Chris Godwin's back. And who the hell knows when that's going to be? It could be October. It could be November. It could be December. Who the fuck knows? This is an offense, like I said, with Tom Brady. Number 1 in pass attempts. Number 1 in completions last year. Number 1 in passing yards. Tom Brady led the league in passing touchdowns. And Russell Gage was pretty sneaky damn good with the Falcons in the second half of last year. With no Calvin Ridley, that receiving core is a mess. He was number 13 in the NFL in yards per route run. He's got huge upside in that Buccaneers offense as the wide receiver 2. And then if anything else happens, if another guy goes down, Mike Evans, God forbid an injury, Russell Gage is going to be the wide receiver 1 in the Tom Brady offense. This guy ran 40% of this time, 40% of his routes from the slot in 2021. Tom Brady, we all know Tom Brady loves his slot receivers. Now he's got Russell Gage. So at the 902, I took Elijah Moore. I like Elijah Moore a lot. I wanted to keep going wide receiver. I had some tight end targets in mind, but I felt I could get my guy a little bit later. So I took Elijah Moore. I was happy with it. If Zach Wilson takes a big step in his second season, it could be a massive year for Elijah Moore. But either way, I think Elijah Moore is going to have a solid season at worst and a great season at best. So when I got to the 10-11, knowing my guy Jax Falcone from the Undroppables was picking at the turn behind me, I had to make my Albert Okwuegbunam pick at the 10-11. Albert O, baby. rather than waiting till the 11:02, because I don't think he would have gotten back to me. This guy is an athletic freak. He ran sub 4.5 a couple years ago at the combine. This guy is 6'6", 258 pounds. He had a 30% target rate, which is targets per route run on playerprofiler.com last year. And in comparison, Travis Kelce's rate was 25%. He's a monster after the catch. As a part-time backup player to Noah Fant, he's still ranked number 15 among all tight ends with 255 yards after the catch. Now he's got Russell Wilson at quarterback. And like I said, as a backup last year, he still was a tight end 1 2 times. And 8 times he finished inside the top 25. He still had a productive season, even while playing behind Noah Fant. And we all know Noah Fant was shipped up to Seattle as part of the Russell Wilson deal. I love Alberto, baby. I love Albert Uquebunam. Let's go. At the 11:02, it was Chris Olave. So this was the first spot where I was not able to get the guy that I was targeting. Yes, it took till the 11th round that I really didn't get the guy that was on my mind. I want this guy at this pick. I got that guy for the first 10 rounds. 11:02. I wanted Allen Lazard to stack with Aaron Rodgers. It didn't happen. He came off the board. But with that said, I'm thrilled to get Chris Olave. I'm thrilled with the Olave pick. I mean, Michael Thomas's ankle is fucked. It's fucked. Jarvis Landry, he might be dust. Alvin Kamara could be suspended for the first 6 games. I mean, who else are they throwing to in New Orleans? And this guy is good. This guy is good. He really is. I love Chris Olave. So at the 12-11, I wanted to start pounding running back. Pounding running back. In a league like this, with a big tournament, not a lot of guys available on the waiver wire, especially for running backs. I just want to stack up these potential big hit running backs. If something happens, something goes the right way for them, they're going to have a huge season or a huge stretch of a season, a couple big games, whatever. We've seen it. We've seen it every single year. Guys in this range just pop off, even if over only a couple weeks, even if it's just Khalil Herbert last year for his 2 or 3 game stretch with Montgomery out. Or it could be Elijah Mitchell, where he's the guy for the whole season. So my focus here, my strategy here in the double-digit rounds is just pound running back. And I started that off with Kenny Gainwell. He's my 3rd running back drafted. I hadn't drafted a guy since, round 4, where I took Leonard Fournette to 4-11. So we went Kenny Gainwell. Miles Sanders is up in the air at this point. He's up in the air. Even he is saying, don't draft him in fantasy football. He doesn't think he's going to get the touches. That's partly because Kenny Gainwell is there and he's going to be heavily involved in the passing game. This guy, as a rookie, was number 6 among all running backs in yards per route run and number 7 in fantasy points per opportunity. That's per playerprofiler.com. So if anything happens to Miles Sanders, it could be big time wheels up for Kenny Gainwell. And even if nothing does happen, he's still going to have a good season because of that receiving game work. At the 13:02, I talked about how this draft up to this point has been completely on brand, like as on brand as any draft I've ever had. All of my guys, like you could just look at my team, and if you follow anything that I do, you could just look at this team and say, that's Alex Johnson's team. Easy. Until you get to this point. Until you get to the 13th round, where I made a pick that goes against everything inside of me. Everything inside of me would say, I can't make this pick. But I had to just use logic. Use my brain, put the emotions aside, put everything I've screamed into the camera for the last 3 years to the side, press the button. I got a burn on my fucking finger from pressing it. Ronald Jones. I took Ronald Jones at the 1302. What? But I think it was the right pick. Ronald Jones at 1302, I think it was the right pick. I really do. I mean, just be real. Take it back. Be real. He's in the Chiefs offense. CEH is just trash. Let's just be real. CEH is not very good. He's not very good. He's shown that. He's had a couple of years to prove it. I mean, he's not the receiving back that we all thought he was going to be coming out of LSU. He was a system back in LSU. That is as clear as it's ever been. Ronald Jones, he's in line to have a good chance to be the guy at the goal line and in between the tackles. He's a tackle breaker. He's not going to be involved in the passing game, which it is half PPR. So it's not, in a full PPR league, I probably wouldn't have made the pick. But it's half PPR. So, we can take a few guys who maybe aren't that great in the passing game. And in the Chiefs offense, it could be the goal line back, could be the in between the tackles grinder. CEH is CEH. We don't have to talk about him. Let's move on. Ronald Jones, we made the pick. It felt gross, but I think it was the right pick. But one guy that coming into this draft, I said I wanted from the beginning. I knew I wanted to target this guy in the double-digit rounds, and I got him at the 14-11. I think he could be this year's Elijah Mitchell. And guess what? Guess who he's backing up? Elijah Mitchell. It's Tyrion Davis-Price of the 49ers. Third-round draft capital coming in. It's a workhorse back with size, speed, explosion. He ran a 4.48 40-yard dash. He's 6 feet, 219 pounds. It's really not hard to see this guy having a huge season in San Francisco. We know Kyle Shanahan wants to run the football, especially with Trey Lance at quarterback now. They're going to pound that rock. And you could really see both of these guys, Elijah Mitchell and Tyrion Davis-Price, being like borderline RB2, RB3 guys, and both having value. But then if anything does happen to Elijah Mitchell, or they just decide, hey, our third round pick is better this year, is better than last year's sixth round pick in Elijah Mitchell, and they're just going to give it all to Tyrion Davis-Price. And when Kyle Shanahan has a running back that he likes, he just runs them. He runs them into the fucking ground until he can't run anymore. So he's going to get work if that happens. So getting him here at the 14-11, I feel really, really good about that. The upside is huge. Like I said, my strategy here in the double-digit rounds is just throw darts. Throw darts at these running backs who could hit. And maybe, hey, one or two of these guys hits, I'm going to win this fucking tournament. All right? He's got that same league-winning upside that Elijah Mitchell had last year. I mean, come on. The 49ers, they were fifth in neutral game script rushing rate last year. Why wouldn't you want Tyrion Davis-Price? Huge target of mine. And then we moved to the 15-02. I took a break from running back, just a little break from the running back position. I pretty much played, and I took Cameron Brate, by the way. I was playing for a few rounds there. I was playing Cameron Brate chicken. I had been considering him at a few picks for a while, but I felt that I could wait. I wanted to add another stack with Tom Brady, and I felt like this finally here at the 15-02 was the time to pull the trigger. This was probably my last chance. If I really wanted to get Cameron Brate to stack with Tom Brady, this was probably my last chance to do it. With the tight end scoring in this league, I felt like that was important. I felt it was important because I didn't go and take a Travis Kelce, a Kyle Pitts, a George Kittle, a Mark Andrews, one of those, Darren Waller, one of those elite high-end tight ends. I felt like I did need to at least double up on that position at some point, even though I love Albert O. I'm convinced he's going to be a top 8 guy this year. He's going to be a breakout. But we have to be, we have to use some logic here and say that, he has not proven it. He hasn't quite proven it yet. So we're going to hedge a little bit.
I felt like Cameron Brate in a great offense with Tom Brady. I think he was the guy to target. Get that stack with Tom Brady, another guy in a great offense. Gronk's gone. Again, this team led the league in all the passing metrics last year. He's a great red zone threat. Chris Godwin, who the fuck knows when he's going to be back? Antonio Brown's gone. Cameron Brate could have a sneaky good season. This guy could have, 8 to 10 touchdowns. So I'm happy with that pick. I'm glad I waited, though, to get him, to the 1502. So at 1611, it was back to running back. And this was another guy. Like I said, with Tyrion Davis-Price, I came into this draft knowing that in this range, I wanted to draft this guy. And it's Chris Evans. I've talked about him I made a couple videos on TikTok about him. I think I talked about him in one of the podcast episodes a handful back as well. This guy was underutilized at Michigan before coming out last year as a 6th-round pick to the Bengals. He's incredibly explosive. He's agile. He's got decent size. He can handle a heavy workload if that's put on his plate. As a rookie last year, he flashed some receiving skill. He handled 15 of the 17 targets for 151 yards and 2 touchdowns in very, very limited playing time. He was the RB3 behind Mixon and Samaje Perine. So Joe Mixon, by the way, it's not like he's been the epitome of health over his career. And if anything were to happen to him, it's just Samaje Perine standing between Evans and a significant role in one of the best offenses in the league. So wheels up for Chris Evans. I love Chris Evans. I'm drafting him so much. He's one of my most rostered guys on Underdog Fantasy. So I was pumped to get that pick. And then the last pick I've made, we're still sitting in the 17th round, kind of just methodically moving through this draft, which I'm totally cool with. I like that. I like it. But we still have, I think I have 5 more picks to make. One more pick that I do have on the board, and that is Josh Palmer. 3rd wide receiver in the Justin Herbert offense. Yes, please. Yes, please. Give that to me. Give that to me all day. In 2021, this guy was a 13th pick in the 3rd round. He had about a 14% target share over the last 5 weeks last year, including 9 targets and 128 air yards in week 18. He had a 100% contested catch rate. He had 3 double-digit fantasy outings in the last 5. So he finished the season strong as a rookie. And he's the wide receiver 3 in the Justin Herbert Los Angeles Chargers offense. Why wouldn't you want that guy? Why wouldn't you want that guy? He's going to have a role just as is. And that if anything happens to Keenan Allen, anything happens to Mike Williams, this guy's going to be the wide receiver 2 in that offense. Justin Herbert is going to find Josh Palmer. He's going to score a lot of fantasy points. It's not like they have a great tight end either. So he'd be, that borderline 2nd or 3rd receiving option in that offense. You got to like Josh Palmer. So, like I said, that's it. That's all. That's where we are right now. We're in the 17th round. We're moving just slowly along. A couple more days of this draft. 5 more picks. I'm going to continue to pound running back. I am going to have to probably take a kicker at some point, which I'm not thrilled about. But maybe what I'll probably do is just punt the position. Just wait. Just don't even take one. And then before the season starts, I'll pick one up. That's probably what I'll do. After we get more news throughout preseason and training camp, injuries happen, whatever. I could pick up a kicker before the start of the season. That's probably what I'm going to do. And I keep pounding running back, maybe take one more wide receiver, depending who's still on the board. But that's it. That's all I got. We'll talk about my last 5 picks on next week's episode. Next week, training camp kicks off in less than a week. The Raiders started today. The rest of the league is going to be full swing in training camp mode 1 week from right now. I'm very excited about that. We're getting here. The season is coming. And I'm pumped. So next week's episode, we're going to talk about some of the guys that I am higher on than consensus in my rankings, higher than consensus. Some of the guys I'm drafting below consensus in my rankings. So we're going to talk about that next week. Next week. I think that's about it. I see some questions in the chat from my guy Zade asking about drafting a kicker or using the roster spot as a placeholder. Oh, looks like I already answered that question. I'm not going to draft the kicker. I think I just decided that live on air. I'm not going to draft the kicker. I'm going to wait. Take a kicker, before the start of the season. Just see what happens during preseason. See what happens during training camp. Just have that one extra running back, one extra wide receiver, whatever on my roster. He also says he grabbed Snoop Conner with his second to last pick. I like that a lot. I do like Snoop Conner. We don't know what's going to happen with James Robinson's injury, his rehab throughout the rest of the summer. I love me some Travis Etienne, but I think that Jaguars offense is going to be pretty much improved. I do like Snoop Conner. So I appreciate the comments from Zade. And like I said, I think that's all we got. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you.